the early 1960s, while the art world still pulsed with the echo of abstract expressionism, a new force emerged. Quiet, bold, and profoundly American. His name was Andy Warhol, and with 32 canvases, each just 20 by 16 inches, painted with flat, deliberate realism, he changed the definition of art. These were not heroic figures or landscapes from myth and memory. They were soup cans, Campbell's soup cans, tomato, chicken noodle, cream of mushroom, each one rendered with mechanical precision, one canvas per flavor, forming a collection that would come to define the pop art movement. This set of 32 paintings, known simply as Campbell's soup cans, marked the first major step in Warhol's journey from commercial illustrator to iconic artist. Between November 1961 and June 1962, he painted each canvas by hand, a meticulous process involving stencils, stamps, and tracing. The result was not photorealism, but something more radical, an homage to the ordinary, a celebration of consumer goods as cultural icons. These works were not about soup, they were about America. Warhol had arrived in New York in 1949, fresh from Carnegie Tech, and swiftly found success illustrating ads and magazines. But by the late 1950s, he grew restless. Fine art called. He began painting comic strip characters, newspaper ads, and ultimately the soup cans that would cement his place in history. According to some stories, it was his friend Muriel Latau who gave him the idea. "Something you see every day," she suggested, "like a can of Campbell's soup." Warhol paid her $50 for the idea. The next day, he went to the store and bought every variety they sold. He began to paint. One can per canvas, no shadows, no embellishments, just the red and white label, the gold medal, and the familiar tilted O in the word soup. It was art that looked like a grocery aisle, and that was exactly the point. By May 1962, Irving Bloom of the Ferris Gallery in Los Angeles visited Warhol's apartment. On the floor lay several of the soup can canvases. Warhol was shy, uncertain about how they would be received. But Bloom was intrigued. He offered Warhol his first solo show, set for July of that year. The exhibition opened on July 9, 1962, on La Cienega Boulevard. Warhol was not present. There was no formal opening, but word quickly spread. The 32 paintings were displayed like merchandise, each on a narrow shelf, lined up side by side like cans in a supermarket. The gallery-goers were bewildered. Was this art, or a joke? Some nearby galleries mocked the show by selling real soup cans 3 for 60 cents. Others built pyramids of cans in their windows. The Los Angeles Times ran a cartoon poking fun at the exhibition. Only a handful of the paintings sold, including one to actor Dennis Hopper for $100. Bloom, sensing the historic importance of the collection, bought back the few that had been sold. He paid Warhol $100 a month until he owned the entire set. Warhol was pleased. He had always thought of them as a unified work. Back in New York, reactions were equally mixed. One gallery canceled an upcoming show, fearing backlash. But Warhol pressed on. Later that year, he exhibited again, this time with Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, and Liz Taylor as subjects. The soup cans had opened the door, and Warhol walked through it into the world of celebrity, repetition, and mass culture. Yet the soup cans remained central. Over the years, he would revisit them in countless variations. In 1965, he created a series of larger canvases with the cans in bright, arbitrary colors. In the 1970s, he produced torn label versions, crushed cans, even opened ones, imbuing them with a sense of mortality and change. The image became both personal and universal. For Warhol, the soup can was a mirror. "I used to have the same lunch every day for 20 years, he once said. Tomato soup made by his mother in a humble Pittsburgh home. Whether or not the story is literal, it resonated. The can was memory, identity, icon. His art was not critique, but observation, unblinking, unemotional, yet saturated with meaning. Initially, Campbell's Soup Company considered legal action. Their trademark had been used, after all, but public interest turned to admiration, then to promotion. By the mid-1960s, Campbell's sent Warhol cases of soup. They even commissioned a painting for a retiring chairman. In time, they licensed the image. In 2012, to mark the 50th anniversary of the series, Campbell's partnered with Target to sell limited edition cans with Warhol-inspired labels. The original 32 canvases, one for each soup variety sold in 1962, remained in Bloom's possession for decades. In 1987, 2 days before Warhol's death, he placed them on loan at the National Gallery of Art. In 1996, they were acquired by the Museum of Modern Art in New York for around $15 million. Today, they are displayed in a grid, ordered by the year each variety was introduced, a visual timeline of taste, nostalgia, and commerce. Other versions live in collections around the world. A small torn label painting from 1962 sold in 2006 for nearly $12 million. Screen print sets from 1968 and 1969 continue to circulate, some authorized, others not. The theme has grown, from simple homage to cultural phenomenon. Critics have long debated the meaning. Was it satire, praise, Marxist critique? Warhol said little. His deadpan style was itself a statement. Where earlier artists painted fruit and flowers, he painted the canned goods of a new world. "I just paint things I always thought were beautiful," he said. "Things you use every day and never think about." The soup cans were not an attack on art. They were an expansion of it. They questioned what could be beautiful, what could be important. They made room for the mundane, the mass-produced, the American. Warhol didn't paint soup. He painted the culture that made soup iconic. In the end, the brilliance of Campbell's soup cans lies in its simplicity. 32 flavors, 32 canvases, a work that reflected not only what America ate, but who it was. And in doing so, Andy Warhol became more than an artist. He became a mirror of his time, smooth, reflective, and endlessly fascinating.